But we're living in this Jesus timeline, and most people don't fully understand what that means. They don't fully get, they don't fully get that, like, everything builds on itself. So we are a continuation of that same energy that started 2,000 years ago. But honestly, it started before he even showed up. Because the calling out for the Messiah to appear, the beckoning, the prophecy, the idea that they cultivated and impregnated with belief over time, manifested as him, and then it took on its own life after he passed, and as the people that were around him believed, and then they perpetuated his message. And they also turned it into their own message about him. It's not all accurate, guys. He wasn't the Son of God. We're all the sons and daughters of God, okay? He was just an enlightened being. He was a realized being. He was someone that was tapped in to the truth. And that's every soul's destiny eventually, after many lives. So he incarnated to show us some stuff, just like the Buddha did, just like Muhammad did, just like Lao Tzu did. Any of the great prophets and chosen ones that religions were founded on were speaking the same essential truth. It's just that Jesus' message carries more. Why? Why is most of the world Christian? Why do we look at time in terms of him? That's some serious shit. And that's part of the main factor that contributes to the Jesus age that we're living in. The time. We're based on time in the physical, guys. We incarnate, we're born into this physical world, and life plays out linearly in time for us. There's only really ever right now, okay? But the human mind is tapped into this creative force that the human mind is tapped into time, is tapped into the past, is tapped and projecting into the future, and is living in the moment, okay? So 2,000 something years ago, however many exact years ago it was, nobody truly knows exactly. You know, there's only estimates. See, we lose over time these things that happen. We can only guess. But the truth of the message resonates and carries. There was a man that was born. He was the chosen one. And he performed miracles, and he healed, and he exorcised demons, and he did all this stuff. And he spoke this message of truth and purity and love. And it resonated with the masses. And he was pushing boundaries, man, of the time. People were not, a lot of people were, but most people, and the ones in power, especially the ones that were stuck on the Jewish law, weren't ready for that message, or they just weren't meant to understand it at that time on their soul's journey. But we're living in this Jesus timeline, man. We're perpetuating it. We are 2,000 years into it. Okay? But it started before him, where he was like beckoned into existence almost. Where he spawned, he incarnated, like us. And then he's like, oh man, maybe this message is about me. Maybe I can be that example that shows people what it truly means to be the Messiah, anointed one, Christ, whatever you want to label it. So he walks around this earth and shows us how to behave by example. And he's getting in people's faces. They're like, you shouldn't do it like this because the law says this. And he's like, motherfucker, I live and exist outside of the law. Humans exist outside of the law. It is only in this fractured mind that we have that this law exists, that you guys are all beholden to. This dogma, this concrete thing that you've created, I'm here to shatter that illusion and show you how to truly be free. And then what happens is, after he dies and the followers are left all alone, right? His closest followers, they're like, man, like, that dude was something else. People need to know about this, man. He made them believe in him as the example. And through him, that's where it's misguided, is only through Jesus can these things be manifest. But that's not true. It can be through anybody that achieves that level of consciousness that he embodied. And he wasn't born that way, guys. It wasn't like, oh, Jesus came in fully perfect of virgin birth. Nonsense. They added that on to prop him up. Virgin birth, resurrection, all of that stuff is an illusion, guys. It never happened that way. It was added on afterwards to make you guys believe more, as if you needed to believe more. Well, you kind of do though, right? To truly believe that he atoned for every fucking person's sins, to fully believe that you are absolved of sin through him, it's insane. That like you come in and it's like, oh guys, don't worry, Jesus has already died for your sins, so what does it matter if you sin? It's like, no, man. I think it would be more accurate to say he died for the people's sins of their time. Their sins culminated in his death. That's like another way of looking at it. But it's not like, oh, only through Jesus and only faith in Jesus as the Son of God. He's the third part of the Trinity of God and all this fucking nonsense. And nobody knows what the true Holy Spirit means. And nobody knows what God truly means. And it's my God and your God and all this different shit. And it's nonsense. It doesn't work that way, guys. And you're never going to understand God on the level of the mind. And it's never going to be a mind thing. You don't own God. No one owns God. No religion owns God. There's no like ownership here, man. It doesn't exist that way. It's impossible. The human mind can only be fragments. It can only be duality. It can only be physical shit. So how can the fragment own the entirety? How can you claim ownership of that? It's not a football team, man. You're not a fan of God. It isn't like, oh, today God performed really well, so today I'm happy. And then the rest of the time God did shitty, so I didn't, you know what I mean? And I feel down because my team didn't win. It doesn't work that way. God is everything. He's in the good and in the bad, man. He's God and he's the devil. The devil is a part of God, okay? There's no separating those things because it's all one. And so like when the Judeo model came along, the Judeo-Christian model that started in like Zoroastrianism and before, where it was like, there's the one God broken down into two, the Ahura Mazda, that's broken down into two, the love and the fear, the good and the bad. So it's like you're explaining God in terms of duality, but ultimately they're saying there's no more like dozens of gods and paganism and all this stuff. They're saying there's only one true energy. But even paganism is correct because each of the archetypes that we create and we give belief to exist in consciousness. It's all true, man. There's no one true thing. We make it true. God asks us to make it true through our belief. We have that creative power. He wants to experience us creating him, envisioning him in a multitude of ways. That's the beauty of it. But everyone's so, fixated on how they only personally believe stuff that there's no room for thinking outside of the box and noticing other aspects of life that may or may not be possible. It's all possible. And so Jesus comes in, and at the time, he's like, the whole area is big on the apocalyptic coming of the Son of God, the Messiah, the chosen one. He's going to come and set things right. He's going to pull us out of our misery, as if one person can absolve you of your life. They can't bear that responsibility, guys. Only you can. It's like if somebody comes in, if Jesus comes in and absolves you of your sins and does all of these things, then what responsibility do you have? Why did you even incarnate? What point were you living for? If it wasn't for you to learn your own lessons and do your own sins and then find your way back to God. And there's no such thing as sin, honestly, when you zoom out far enough. There's only there is sin, but there's also not sin. It's the paradox of life. But people haven't zoomed out far enough to truly understand that. stuff happens the way it's meant to happen, always. What happens in the current moment, it's destined. It's playing out in front of you. How can you argue with it? So if I sin in the current moment, I was meant to sin in that moment. And if I was meant to be aligned in that moment with God and be in union with God, then I was meant to be. And I have choice over aligning myself with that. But what are you ultimately ever in control of or have choice over? It will mess with you. But anyway, so we're getting back to Jesus because this is the important message here, the central message. We are living in his timeline. And the message has been adulterated. It's been changed. It's changed over time, man. The same message that Jesus spoke, maybe like, I don't know, how can you estimate it? Maybe 60% of what he said was accurately recorded, maybe 10%, maybe 90%. But there's definitely room for error there. Things got changed, stuff got added on, stuff got taken out. We can't know all of it. And honestly, it's not really important. Why? Because the message that endured, the message that made it to us through the years that got passed down, is the message that God wanted us to hear. Or else we would have heard a different message, right? How can you argue with what was passed along? God wanted us to sift through Christianity and pick up the little nuggets of truth and understand that not all of it is truth. A lot of it is. Like, if you want to get down to the nitty-gritty of it, man, go focus on what he was speaking. Like, go notice what he was saying. Go to his words. There's the truth. Because Paul bastardized a lot of it, and then his message perpetuated. It's like what we're living today, what Christians are living today, is largely Paul's vision for what Jesus was. And it's hard to put an estimate on what or what it wasn't. You know, was it 50-50? Is it Paul and Jesus, you know? And like only through faith in Jesus can you have your salvation, and all this like nonsense that was added on. It's just fucking bullshit. Jesus is the example. If you behave like him, then you reach your own enlightenment. That's exactly what it is, what he's trying to show. What is the kingdom of heaven like? It's like this. It's like planting a seed. It's like the birds in the sky. It's like he's trying to show people these messages to say, hey man, it's really hard to decipher God. It's really hard to explain what this feels like, what I'm going through, how I'm perceiving life. I'll do my best and share a bunch of stories and perform a bunch of miracles and show you what alignment looks like. And then you guys are going to follow my example. The story of the fig tree, man. They're walking and he comes up on a fig tree. He picks up the fig. He eats the fig and it's rotten, it's gross. And he's like, fuck you, tree. Basically, he's like, you will never bear fruit again. And there's two versions of it. There's one where like it instantly, the tree just shrivels. He basically curses the tree, man. Just like you can bless something with your words, you can also curse through the negative. Okay? So he's so disgusted with this tree that it's bared this rotten fruit. And it's kind of like symbolism for humans and like the fruits and their deeds, and you will know them by their deeds, right? And then other version of the story is the next day they come back to the same tree and now it's been shriveled. And they're like, oh my God, Jesus, look at the tree. And he's like, truly, I tell you, if you have faith, you know, anything that you say will manifest, you know, I'm paraphrasing. And you will say to this mountain, go into the sea and it will be done. For anything that you ask for in prayer will be given. And then now you're trying to reconcile, wait a minute. That means that Jesus in that moment was praying. And it's not like he goes off into his own little room, closes the door behind him and is praying silently to God, or goes in the wilderness like he would and like prays to God. No, in that moment he channeled. And honestly, all of the words he spoke were prayer, man. He was always aligned. He was always speaking truth. That's what the Holy Spirit means, man. The alignment, the union, the channeling of the divine in the moment. And it comes down as the dove. Nobody gets it. because they take things too literally. They can't see beyond the brush. They can't see the forest through the trees. So everyone's stuck on these precise words and like over-analyzing the words that were written. And it's been done all through the ages. That's part of what this Jesus timeline means, is that after he was, killed, and then they're lost. And now, like, what are we going to do? And then Paul comes along and they're writing the messages down. What is it going to look like? Stay strong in your faith. Stay strong in your belief. You're going to be persecuted because you believe in this and all this stuff. And then hundreds of years pass, and then we curate Christianity to look a certain way. And then saints come and people believe, and they're like, wow, this message really resonates with me. I believe in Jesus as the Son of God, But it may or may not have looked like that in the beginning, guys. Some aspects, some branches of Christianity weren't believing in Jesus as literally the Son of God. They weren't. They were tapping into the Gnosticism, the gnosis, the knowing of your internal self. That's what he was always pointing to. And Gnosticism, the Gnostic branch of Christianity, is also true. The Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Peter, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Mary, those are all true aspects of Christianity as well. They hold the codes to you unlocking yourself if you know how to decipher them. But if you don't, then you're going to be lost. And it's like most people are already lost as it is, so it doesn't really matter. You're going to find your truth however you need to find it, whether you find it through Buddhism or Christianity or whatever. It doesn't matter which religion, which mythology, which story you use to wake up to. And so you have Jesus that carries this gravity through time, guys. All these people that came after him that believed and were passing down this message, like entire empires were created and crumbled over millennia, 2 millennia, over centuries, dozens of decades, man. And it's like Holy Roman Empire pops up and then falls, like Constantinople rises and falls, Byzantine, the Byzantine Empire, right? And everything in between. The Council of Nicaea and like all these different saints that are like, guys, and then like the Crusades, like, oh, we have to spread Christianity, and like we have to conquer Jerusalem and we have to fight against the Muslims and we have to fight against these people, and for Christianity we have to kill a bunch of people, and it's like, it's insanity. But everybody fully believed so truly in this message. They were indoctrinated into it. They were conditioned into it so fully that they couldn't see past it. And you're not going to only find your salvation only through Jesus. But the important message is that here, this is it, guys, because I've kind of been alluding to it, okay, is that because there's so many Christians and non-Christians, because so many people are aware of Jesus, because we just casually say, oh my God, Jesus Christ, because he's so a part of our consciousness today, all over the world, all of these people that have him in their consciousness, some that believe and some that don't believe, are manifesting and creating and perpetuating that prophecy. It is the enduring prophecy of the apocalypse, man, of the revelation, of the chosen new earth, of the peace of 1,000 years, like these ideas that we have, and we pass them down through time. So at the time Jesus was born, he was born into the apocalypse, the apocalyptic times. And the apocalyptic times still resonate today because Jesus' message has come today. And you have the apocalypse and revelation in other religions too. And they have their own versions of it too. Like in Islam, revelation's coming too. And in Zoroastrianism, that's probably where the apocalypse began. And when the Persians had the Jews and that whole melting pot of religion embedded itself, and then Judaism adopted stuff from like Mesopotamia and from all these different areas and all their different gods and their different religions, and it became this melting pot of apocalypticism, whatever you want to call it, right? And then it gets passed down, and now Christianity still carries it. Even Hinduism carries it with Kalki. and the 10th avatar of Vishnu, like it's like, it's in everything. Everyone thinks that there's gonna be this reckoning, this judgment day. It doesn't work that way, man. And when you die, there isn't this massive judgment, man. There's no hell. You don't have to like live your life in fear that every time you do something evil, oh no, for the rest of my life, it's gonna be this way, like, an eternity of damnation. And your salvation is only through this. It's the illusion. You go back and it's beautiful. So because we're perpetuating this timeline, because of Jesus's gravity, because of people's belief in him, because people are always talking about him and perpetuating the faith in him, and because he's always on the periphery, we are feeding that with our belief and our consciousness and our thoughts and our prayers and our doings and all of this stuff in honor of him. And then it's also happening in Islam, and it's happening in Hinduism and other stuff too. You're perpetuating the eventual coming of a consciousness, of an awakening, of a new earth, like Eckhart will call it in his book. We are all destined to wake up, man. It's the prophecy at its core. But people misidentify what that prophecy truly means and what it's going to look like. It's not going to be like, I mean, it may have times of trouble, the 7 years of like difficulties and like disasters and famine and disease and like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and all these things, right? It's just symbolism, guys, for there's going to be a purging. There's going to be a time where we go through some crazy shit, right? Like climate change. A lot of people on the planet, we're destroying the earth, right? Maybe the earth fights back and like starts wiping us out. Who knows how it breaks down and how it plays out, okay? But the idea is we wake up fast enough that maybe we can prevent some of it. Maybe we can change course. Maybe we can come to our senses, or not fully identify with our senses and look at our senses for what they truly are, and our thoughts. They go hand in hand. The hope of the future, this 1,000 years of peace, an eternity of peace, breaking free from the shackles of the devil, like letting go of fear, letting go of the illusion, Maya. It's all destined. And they all play out as these archetypal stories that we pass down through the generations. And then we impregnate them with belief, and then they manifest in our lives. But when they are manifesting in our lives, we can't really identify it because we're too busy in our minds with our everyday shit and our everyday problematic lives that we're living, that we're not seeing this stuff play out and how it's all linked and how it's all connected and how it's all been passed to us. And now we're bearing the torch and carrying it on into the future through the present moment. So what I think and I believe and what I embody as me right now creates my future. And it can also create my current moment if I'm centered and powerful enough in this presence of God that lives in me. The vortex exists now. The portal exists now, not in the future and not in the past, obviously, because the past already happened. It's like people think that like Jesus was like this like almighty son of God that like could do anything and was faultless and all these. It's fucking nonsense, man. He was flawed like everyone. He wasn't born perfect. He didn't, virgin birth and like all this stuff. Like none of that stuff happened that way, man. They added that stuff on. His mom had sex with someone and they gave birth to Jesus. Okay? Just like everyone else. Like the idea of the virgin birth isn't like only with Jesus. It's been in like mythology. It's been in other religions as well. It isn't just like coincidence, man. And the resurrection, oh my God. That's the best part because it's like through the resurrection is where like Jesus really became God. Where people are like, oh my God, he even cheated death. And they didn't get the symbolism of it, and they didn't get what really happened. And they lied about it at the end too, that he was hanging out with them, that he's like again in the flesh after he died and hanging out with them, the apostles, and like eating and like just normal life. And then he's like, oh, time to go. And he leaves. No, none of that shit happened. What happened was he died, and then they had visions of him, like literal visions though, like apparitions. You can do that, guys. You can see stuff. He opened them up through his presence. They were tapped into like the ESP, man, the ooh woo woo shit. That stuff exists. Like, come on, man. Think about this, okay? If Jesus could heal people, which he could, and then through their belief in him while he's with them, he's like, you guys can go out and heal and cleanse and perform miracles through me. Then they were channeling his divine energy. They were channeling the only divine energy that exists, the truth, the alignment. And that was cleansing them of their karma too, guys. Do you see? Through their belief, through their faith. But they weren't fully believing and fully having faith, because there were plenty of times where he was aligned and they were fearful. And the moment that they had doubt, the moment that they had fear, they were no longer aligned. That's like the message of this, man. You believe or you don't. You have faith or you don't. You have resistance or you don't. That's all it is. A recognition of life playing out in the current moment and how you're aligned to it, and whether you're like, no, don't happen to me, life, or yes, like Yes Man and Jim Carrey, you know, the movie, yes to life. I accept everything fully. And Jesus is like, guys, accept life fully. Accept God fully. God is now. God is life. God is energy. God is the universe. God is everything. And through him, they're cleansing themselves, their belief in him for some reason. But Jesus was just the middleman. You didn't have to believe in Jesus. Jesus went straight to the source. Like, who was Jesus believing in to reach his energy? Do you see? It's like before Abraham, I am, right? What he's saying is, the energy I'm tapping into, the I amness, the beingness that I am, that I'm tapping into, existed if you go even beyond Adam, the son of man, guys. That's what he's saying. The coming of the Son of Man, the coming of the Son of God. Everyone is the Son of God. Everyone is destined to reach that enlightenment point, that nirvana, that understanding. You don't have to believe in Jesus to reach it for yourself. It's been proven. How many countless enlightened ones have walked the earth without believing in Jesus? But it doesn't take away from his message. It doesn't take away from the prophecies. And all a prophecy is, hey guys, I think I recognize what the future is going to look like based on the current moment. Because you see the trajectory. You see where eventually this stuff is headed. It can only play out a certain way. And then God is sending you visions of what that may or may not look like based on how you can interpret stuff in your own timing. Like, if I'm going to create a prophecy today so that the future generation can read it and hear about it, I'm going to talk about the things that are happening today: technology, smartphones, airplanes, cars, things that didn't exist 2,000 years ago. So they're using symbolism like animals and like eagles and like lions and trees and nature and forests and like the oceans and the lands and the peoples and the kings and like whatever existed back then. They're using those things to describe their prophecy. And then this future generation, the current generation, has to decode what they meant at that time. And then I'm going to create my prophecy based on my current surroundings. And honestly, that's all religion and mythology is interpreting God in terms of this surroundings. It's all I can use. It's all I know. It's all my mind can understand in this now. Do you see? Like Nostradamus. How many people have read his prophecies and then And then like so much of it was accurate because people were reading it and they're like a few of them were accurate and like a lot more ended up being accurate as time passed by because more and more people were reading it and more people were believing it and more people were perpetuating it. And how many people are tapped into Christianity that are perpetuating the revelation? And how many behaviors and actions have been taken out of those beliefs, right? Like spreading of Islam, right? Like going to war in the name of Allah, or going to war in the name of Jesus Christ and Christianity through the Crusades, or the witch trials, right? Like heretics. If you believe in paganism, we're gonna burn you at the stake because you didn't believe in the Son of God, and like how many times were people called heretics and like and were killed in like the European Middle Ages and stuff like that, guys, because they didn't believe, because they realized that they could see truth outside of the paradigm at that time. God exists outside of the paradigm, guys. God exists outside of the dogma. But we're living in this like Jesus timeline that we can't get away from. It happened that way. Like all of life, everything that exists today, the Industrial Revolution that led to like the world wars and then led to like the technological age today, all of that stuff came out of the Renaissance period, that came out of the Middle Ages, that came out of the ancient times, right? The Judeo-Christian stuff came up, but that came from the Romans and the Greeks. And then that came from the Persians and the Mesopotamians and like all these different melting pots of ideologies and like beliefs and truths kept spreading and kept being passed down as knowledge through books and through words, the spoken word too. And so like it's plain as day if you look at history. Like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And it's like in all of this historic stuff, not all of it, but a very large majority, especially the Western European stuff, there's Jesus is interlaced with all of it. The reformations of all the like Christianities and stuff, and like they're arguing and fighting amongst themselves about what Christianity truly means, and the printing press and like the King James Bible and like all these different things, man. And it built up to now. And we're perpetuating it now. And we're creating out of that now and into the future. And so the prophecy is going to happen regardless of whether you like it or not, guys. Because most people don't know how to control it. You can't. You're not in control of it. But you're just a little slice of the pie. Me, as one man, I am just one slice of the consciousness. And there's 8 billion of us perpetuating our own stuff. But the majority of the energy is pointed towards Christianity. And the majority of the energy is pointed towards like Buddhism and Islam. And then there's another chunk of it that doesn't believe, the atheists and agnostics, the ones that identify with science more. And that's fine too. But even those that are scientific have still heard of Jesus, and still, because he's implanted in even their consciousness, they understand and know it and perpetuate it with them without them fully understanding how or why they're doing it. It's just existing in you. Regardless of whether, it's like you can't escape it, man. You can't. You can't escape life, how it played out. This is just the timeline that we were born into. There may exist multiple other timelines. Maybe there's a timeline where Jesus didn't exist, but we weren't born into that one, man. We were born into the one where Jesus did exist, where Jesus has that gravity, where everything revolves around his timeline, that we look at time in terms of him. Who is there anyone else that we look at time in terms of? The whole world has bent the knee to Jesus, whether they like it or not, just because we look at time in terms of him, man. It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane that you're born into something and you can't even like get away from it. And then maybe another chosen one comes along, and then like they influence the world enough and they believe in him enough that they reset that timeline, and now it's like the Jimbo timeline. And everybody 2,000 years from now prays to Jimbo, and he reset the timeline, and it's 2,000 years AJ after Jim. you know? And oh yeah, we remember Jesus, but no, Jim came along and Jim was way bigger. Jim did really crazy shit, right? Oh, and he spoke this magnetic truth and he did this magnetic stuff. It's going to play out exactly as it's meant to play out based on what has already happened and what we are creating and projecting into the future.